Good morning, how are you? My name is Nicholas and I'd like to welcome you to this webinar. Before we start, thanks for joining once again an Autologic Academy session on best practices for dealerships. This time we'll work with strategies that can be implemented in services and sales to boost revenue. Before moving forward, I remind you that we'll be sharing this information at the end of the webinar, and you will also receive a brief survey so we can have your feedback and let us know if you'd like more information about our DMS to arrange a talk. Talking about improving sales or generating more revenue in the surrounding scenario means much more than focusing on new and used vehicle sales. We know that the global context is still rebalancing, and in some countries, the lack of new units is much more marked and recovery is lower. But still, we think it's vital to analyze some changes, habits, improvements, and processes that we detected and discussed with customers who, towards this new panorama, chose to see how to generate sales by analyzing marginal improvement in every corner, every department, every daily task. Just to make the presentation dynamic, we'll study different cases where we analyzed a process, a thought of an improvement, and apply the change to leverage, empower, or correct. At the end of the day, all upgrades are transformed into money. We structure the talk so that we can address three types of improvements: time savings, taking advantage of opportunities, and generation of new opportunities. In each case, I will tell you how the improvement was reflected in some customers, and I hope you can incorporate many of those strategies. Before starting the journey, I want to refresh some questions that we repeat in each webinar and that you've probably heard before. The impact of changes doesn't occur overnight. We must be constant, meticulous, organized, and patient. The second point to reinforce is related to the previous one. Habits are the basis of constant improvement. Without a habit, you cannot maintain constant growth. Habits are thought, proposed, agreed on, and repeated over and over. When a key task is repeated every day, it's gradually embodied in the company's culture, in every process, and every key aspect of the business. There is no more significant victory than adopting a habit that improves work. That is what we must achieve. There is a scenario that is repeated many times. An action is proposed, for example, call all customers who bought a vehicle 2 years ago to offer them the change, and this action gives results. Of the 50 calls, 20% decided to advance in the commercial process. Every sale is closed and celebrated, and everyone is happy. And then 2 years pass and no one repeats the action. But why? Ask the dealership owner or general manager, and the answers will be that it was a one time thing. It's not the daily tasks. We forgot to do it again. This is a crude example. No one will forget such a task. However, when these super effective actions are part of a habit, they will be achieved more often. They will be celebrated more often, and with each repetition, the task will even be improved. Other messages, other target audiences, other media, other graphics. One of the points we always focus on is unraveling the potential of management systems. The DMS, like Autologica Sky DMS, will solve processes in each department: purchases, sales, inventory control, payments and collections, reporting, accounting issues, billing, etc. and etc. But that's only one part. The strong point of the DMS, which you must always have as an ally, is the ability to generate information to make decisions, the existence of functions that automate tasks, the detection of opportunities, and the possibility of translating ideas into concrete improvements. The DMS is not a black box with data, nothing further. It's the platform from which to promote, sustain, and improve actions that will enhance the business. Not tapping into the potential of these tools is simply leaving money on the table, wasting valuable hours that could be better spent, missing key positions on repetitive tasks. I've told you before, but it doesn't hurt to repeat it. In a dealership where we worked a few years ago, we found super trained and very smart people that were slowed down by having to perform manual tasks. They could have super creative visions, but they spent the day loading information manually, such as vehicle checking, reports made in Excel sheets, calculation of hours consumed in the workshop, very long processes, and full of steps. This is like having the best player on the team on the bench. It is to avoid such scenarios that the DMS becomes the key player who will remove obstacles, help define strategies, measure the performance of each team, and assist each player in reaching the goal. Beyond metaphors, it's about getting the most out of a tool made just for that, working better. Without habits, the system isn't enough, and without the system, habits get lost in routine. For a long time, workshops have become protagonists in dealership billing, in part because vehicle sales dropped, and in part because the potential of each contact was discovered. A few days ago, we returned from one of the most important conventions of the automotive industry in the United States, and workshop profitability was addressed in several talks. The service department is the one that generates income throughout the lifetime of the vehicle, and what each dealer seeks is to capture 100% of that potential. It doesn't matter if they are combustion vehicles, hybrid, or electric, all of them will have to go through the workshop. Beyond the changes that are taking shape from now to the future towards vehicle technology, vehicles should always go through the workshop. Of course, it won't be like we are used to. When technology changes, sooner or later, habits change. Let's think, for instance, what happened to the way of buying the arrival of e-commerce platforms? How did we buy before these sites? How many times did we visit clothing stores? How many telephone stores did we visit? Or something more current, how did habits change with all the rage of delivery services and food services orders? Before, people went to a store, waited there, set a time to withdraw their orders, watch television, or talk to people. Today, you solve everything with an application. Let's leave aside whether it's a positive or negative change. That's a topic for another debate, but let's focus on the change in routines. We must understand that many of these changes or facilities are beginning to be demanded in all industries. And what can we do about this? First, I'd like to share with you some of the issues we have seen at the recent events we attended. Retention and loyalty. The competition never stops growing, especially with the appearance of new dealers and independent workshops that try to attract customers. Customers, on many occasions, don't define their loyalty just by the price. Offer extra services but take advantage while the vehicle is in the workshop. When the vehicle is already in a work bay or the technician is in the field repairing agricultural machinery and detects something, what does the technician do? Just offer the repair, explain why the repair is advisable, and encourage the customer to do it. This seems obvious, but if it's not a habit, it's not done. Loyalty programs. Many dealerships are spending hours contacting key customers and large accounts, offering exclusive benefits, surveying their loyalty to the brand, and asking their opinions. And they do it intuitively, quickly. You don't need to do a focus group, quite the opposite. Just as a streaming service encourages you to conduct a short survey, so do the creative teams behind the detection of customers' happiness. From service advisor to customer advisor. We'll address this later, but in the current scenario, they should see us as advisors, not as sellers. Well argued advice sells more than a bulk message. Each contact should feed a service marketing strategy. Service marketing proposes to focus not only on the vehicle sold, but also on the surrounding services and businesses. Dealerships use the service marketing functions of their DMS to calculate the estimated date of the next maintenance service and thereby leverage each customer's potential. If you aren't already using these functions, Autologica Sky DMS provides them. And last but not least, contactless and door-to-door services. Alright, so let's look at 2 points in depth, especially focused on tools you should already know. First, the difference between a handmade checklist and a digital experience. On the one hand, we have a slower process, subject to errors, that involves moving everything to a system. And on the other hand, a much more dynamic experience, fully integrated with the system. From the dealer side, it translates into the time savings, ergo money savings. And from the customer side, we provide a different experience that allows them to shorten times. A policy focused on improving the customer experience in the dealership, anticipating their problems, and becoming a partner and co-pilot is the differentiation factor they will value. You don't need to apply great change strategies to increase customer loyalty and retention. By paying attention to small details and adjusting the daily practices of all employees, we will build customer loyalty with very simple and low cost strategies that positively impact the image of our dealership and our profitability. Let me tell you a case of a dealer who combined a different reception experience and innovative tools. On the one hand, they implemented a methodology of going to the customer to see the vehicle. Once there, from the tablet connected to the internet, they made the checklist. The customer is still at home. They took the unit to the workshop, and once repaired, they returned it to the original location. We are talking about a unique service that prevents the customer from moving. Another very important opportunity to offer the best experience is to be efficient in the workshop, do the job right and on time, and have customers receive their vehicles when expected. We decided to implement the RO Progress tool to improve this management in a customer with a large number of vehicles. What did this tool allow? See how each repair order was progressing in real time, detect the stages that were overloaded to relieve them, detect bottlenecks, and at the same time discover which were the most oiled stages. So let's imagine the time savings it takes to go from this to this. Another example. Imagine now the time saving between this way of knowing how you're investing each hour in the workshop and this other way. But what's the cost? Minimum for the advantages it offers. We always encourage you to look for tools that save money and improve satisfaction because it's the perfect combination to enhance opportunities. At the event we attended, more than one talk was dedicated to the sale of accessories. Focusing on the American market, they provided data that reflected the little exploitation of the sale of accessories and customization of the vehicle sold. There were two indicators that I think are very important to mention, basically because improving them means increasing sales in each commercial process. Only 45% of customers are offered accessories or customization of their vehicles. And a positive, comprehensive, and tailored customer experience promotes 40% more opportunities against the competition. So let's break it down. Concerning the sale of accessories, the speakers explained that for the American market, the customization of their vehicles and the sale of accessories is vital. They want to have a unique car, so they customize it. And that's where you have to encourage the sale of accessories. Do not think that the sale of accessories only increases the cost to the customers, but offer what we know they will pay because they like, because it offers a different experience in their vehicle and makes them feel unique. This practice could be crossed with the status and activity of accessories in stock and offer those that the customer may want, but also the ones we want to sell. If we take the trouble to know the customer and detect their vocation, hobbies, and tastes, we can offer compatible accessories. If you implement an accessory sales strategy, let's not forget that what we continuously repeat: measuring. Measuring if they are sold, measuring where they are not sold, and why. Measuring is the only way to know if you are doing things right. Secondly, I'd like to focus on customer experience. Is it good practice to adopt strategies to recover customers? Yes, but it's best practice to create strategies not to lose them. Most of the time, you work on the problem and not on its prevention, and this can be costly mistake. Let's see 3 points that you can adopt in the daily routine and that in the long term will translate into satisfied customers, but above all loyal to the dealer and the brand. It's important to know what customers think and how they feel about the dealership. This is how to know what we do well to empower it and what we must improve to avoid losing customers. One way to do this is with surveys conducted in the dealership and through different communication channels, such as phone, text messages, apps, email, and social networks. What do you think of the service you received? How were you treated? Would you return to a workshop or showroom? Know the customers. The more we know about each customer, the more resources we have to retain them. The more we know about them, the easier it will be to create customer segments that can be permeable to the same successful strategies. Knowing their needs, expectation, habits, work, family, etc., allow us to go a step ahead of them and offer them what they are waiting for. Be customer advisors. Be the co-pilot that offers you transportation solutions. When customers feel that the dealer is a dedicated ally who thinks about how to ensure that the vehicle is always the optimal, the safest, and the right one, they will detect the value that differentiates us from the competition. It's important to see when this link can be strengthened. Offer vehicles according to the jobs, families, interests, tastes, etc. Invitations to events and exhibitions. Do complimentary services and promotions of complementary products that may interest them. Regarding this point, there are two functions or tools that we suggest. On the one hand, using DMS data well in the business intelligence tool, you can categorize customers by their purchases to always have in mind which are the top. Knowing this list and without neglecting the rest, you can take action for loyalty. On the other hand, using CRM is key to conducting annual contact campaigns with all customers. To achieve this, you can use Autologica CRM to create customer segments according to their vehicles, locations, and purchases, and carry out campaigns offering what we know may interest them. With this planning, we address two major departments of the leadership, and in future webinars, we'll specifically work with parts and services. Now I'll answer your questions, and if you have any, and let me remind you that at the end of this webinar, you will receive a survey to leave us your opinion. For those who are not an Autologica customer and want to coordinate a virtual and live demo of our DMS, you can request a demo in the survey or contact us via email or one of our social networks. All right, let's go then with some questions. Let me see. Okay, regarding what to measure and how to measure the proposed actions, In the previous webinar, we are talking about different indicators that should be on the table of any manager, data that should always be kept in mind. With the tools mentioned, you can measure the efficiency and productivity in the service department, vital to obtain the maximum profits in the area. In sales, it's important to know how many opportunities are open, how much money they mean, and the reasons for the opportunities that were not sold. These are very common, but don't go out of fashion because they help improve. Um, Beyond having many sketched indicators, what's important is to choose those that help us to make decisions. Having a board full of data, numbers, and indicators is useless if you don't do something with them. Likewise, when we send you the material, we'll also share some articles that we wrote about indicators that should be measured. Um, okay, I see here you ask which program I showed with repair orders and hours. Okay, there are functions of Autologic's DMS that provide information in real time and measure the key indicator of the workshop daily. The tool that works as a Kanban, the repair order progress, is quite recent and many of our customers use it to manage jobs and very usefully to detect work orders that remain open for many days. Okay, let's go with one more question. Here we have one about customer surveys and how to do them. There are many free tools that you can use. Some are more professional than others, but beyond the tool, let's say Google Forms, Microsoft Forms, etc. The important thing is what to do with the data. Okay, for example, load into the CRM customers who give negative feedback to manage the dissatisfaction until it's reversed. Reply without delay to customers who make a claim or have a suggestion. And more satisfied customers, for example, can be transformed into success stories. One of our customers asks for permission to customers who give a good score and publish it on their networks, and others ask them to complete a review on Google. Again, the important thing is to use the system data and transform data into actions. Okay, as usual, the answered questions will be sent by email so as not to lengthen the presentation. I want to remind you that we will send you the video, and at the end of the webinar, the survey will pop up. So we'll be grateful if you will answer it because your feedback is very useful to us. As I mentioned last time, in upcoming webinars, we'll be addressing very interesting topics about the automotive industry, such as electromobility, global trends, after-sales optimization, detection of opportunities, and other topics that you will surely find interesting. So keep an eye on our publications and emails. Without further ado, I wish you a great start to the year, and I remain available for anything you need. Thank you very much, and see you next time.